Hi YouTube, I'm Aiman. And if you have an OpenAir Little Robot 3 and you have a problem with this red blinking light right here, in this video I'm going to show you how to fix and diagnose that problem. Now if you have this red blinking light, most online troubleshooting guides say that signs point to something being wrong with the weight of the litter robot. Now this could mean that there's too much litter, there's too much waste, something's leaning on the robot, it might be tucked in a corner somewhere that causes weight on it. It could also be on an uneven surface. Or the cat is overweight. Now, I'm pretty sure Bella isn't overweight. Right, so here's Bella, and as you can tell, she is definitely not overweight. So when you have this little robot, the first thing that you should do when you see a problem like this is clean everything out, remove the litter, clean out the waste, make sure that your cat is not overweight. And then after you put everything back together, if the problem still persists, then online troubleshooting guides say that the signs point to it being the cat sensor. Now the cat sensor is what makes your machine automatic. It detects your cat, and after your cat does its business, then after the cat leaves, then it's going to do its cycle. Right, so even if we take the power back out, put it back in, it only cycles for a second. Now in order to test if it truly is the cat sensor, we're going to take the globe out. In order to do that, we're going to take the top off. In order to do that, we're going to grasp each side. It has notches on each side. Push it forward. Take the back notches out. Take the globe out. Make sure you be careful with the key on the back. You don't want to replace that. I'll just put it on the ground actually. We're going to put the top back on. You know why? Because on the top, there are two contacts that connect to these two contacts, and that's what helps the circuit close. So we're going to put this back on. Make sure that these two contacts are touching. Back first. Notch it back in. What we're going to do now is we're going to try it again to see if it works. You should see the gear turns for like a second. See, it stops. And that means it is the cat sensor. Now, the cat sensor is, if we take out this wastebasket, if you look down here, the cat sensor is right here. It's this wire, and it's under this metal plate, but I'll show you that later. In order to further confirm that it is the cat sensor, we're gonna jump it. Now, the company says, according to our online research, the company says that there is no way to jump the machine. However, we found the way, and I guess if the company knew, they probably wouldn't recommend this, and I probably wouldn't recommend this either. So do it at your own discretion. It is your own unit, so it's up to you if you want to try it. But what you're going to want to do is take a wire like this. We have a loop on it right here. You're going to want to look down here. You're going to want to disconnect the cat sensor from this wire. In order to do that, you have to grasp both sides with one hand each and pull them apart gently. I say two hands because you don't want to break the cat sensor. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the other end that has these prongs. Where's the wire? And then you're going to want to take the wire. You're going to want to stuff it in. What you're going to want to do is you're going to take the power out first, of course. Please. When you're working with electronics, be careful. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to want to stuff the wire in. Just make sure that both the prongs are connected. You have to close the circuit. And what we're going to do now, put the power back in. Let's see if it works. Let me try it again. Alright, just like stuff the entire thing in there. At this point, it should definitely be closed circuit. Alright, try number 2. There we go. So as you can see, the gear is turning. That means it's working. Now, like I said, do this at your own discretion because the company probably doesn't recommend jumping it. So we've confirmed that it is the cat sensor and that it's working. Now we're going to put the globe back in order to test if it does a full cycle. So in order to do that, just take the top off and put the cover back on. Now, while I'm doing this, I just want to talk about actually jumping the machine, because if your machine is still under warranty, what you should do is definitely call the company and they'll diagnose the problem, and depending on what the problem is, they'll either send you the parts and you'll have to fix it yourself, or you'll have to send the base to them for them to fix or replace. And if it's under warranty, you should definitely do that. Now, if perhaps you bought this off of eBay, or like if you just bought this off of someone else, or someone gave it to you, or you might not even have the right documentation, and in our case someone gave this to us, then it's up to you if you want to jump the machine. Now, it does come with warnings, so if you jump the machine, you probably eventually might have to replace the circuit board. So I do not recommend doing it, but in our case, it's up to us, because I guess now we own the machine, so discretion is advised. So we're going to turn this on in order to do a full cycle. Now, it takes like 1.5 minutes for a full cycle to finish, so let me just make sure. It takes a full 1.5 minutes for a cycle to finish, so we're going to speed it up. Let me turn the key. Put it back on. Okay, so we have the wire jump, as you can see on the bottom. Now we're going to put the wire back in. And let's see. I'm going to step back. Let me jump the wire again. Okay. It should work now. Alright, so I'm gonna step back so you can see. Alright, so right here you can see that the ready light turns on. It should turn on in Alright, so the ready light has turned on. However, at first glance you might think that this might be a quick solution to your problems. However, like I said, the CAT sensor is what makes the robot automatic. When you just have the wire jumped, it's not going to make it automatic. So when your CAT does its business and you want to use this as a solution, you have to cycle it manually. Alright, so we're going to take everything apart just so we can replace the CAT sensor. We're going to take out the power. Now we're going to take off the top. And the globe. Alright. So now, right here, you can already do some work on the CAT sensor. Now, in order to take it out, you're going to have to notice that there's this bolt right here. And on the bottom, there is a nut, so, or vice versa. Now, in order to take these out, you're gonna have to have some sort of like tool on one side that's keeping one in the same orientation while you're able to take out the other one. Now, when you're doing this black piece right here has a spring on it, so you're gonna want to be careful with the compression because it might just like explode out. So we're going to take Alright, for taking these out, you're going to need a few tools. Now, perhaps a socket screwdriver would work, you know, sockets. But this tool right here, which is a multi-tool with fittings on it, definitely works perfectly because, as you can see, it fits perfectly. Now, when you're using a tool that has ratcheting, you're going to want to make sure it ratchets in the right direction when you're taking it out. So on the inside, you're going to want to use a ratchet wrench, or since we have a Milwaukee, we're going to use it. So on this side, on the inside, it's going to be a 9mm socket, and on this side, it's going to be a 1/4" socket. We don't have a 1/4" socket, so we have to use this multi-tool. And how am I going to do so that you guys can see? What I'm going to do is put this on. And I know that my explanation from before was a bit tricky to understand, but basically because this is a nut and bolt situation, when you turn the nut, it's also going to turn the bolt, so it's going to cancel out. So you want to make sure that one stays the same way. This is the easiest way to do it with the opening facing the top. Now, when you're doing this, make sure it's this bolt that you put the Milwaukee on, or your ratchet wrench, and make sure it's facing in the right direction. This one's facing in the right direction, I already know that. Put them both on. This one's gonna be the locking one that keeps it in place. This one's gonna be what takes it out. Let's try it. Whoa. You see that, guys? I think you guys heard that, but it just out. So that's what the spring looks like, and that's what the bolt looks like. Where's the nut? The nut is right here. That's what the nut looks like. But this is, just make sure you keep this safe. Make sure you keep the spring safe. And now we can have a look at the cat sensor. Make sure you keep this metal plate safe that it came off of here. So keep that safe. And now we can look at the cat sensor. I think you have to pull it out. Now, let me do it from right here. Now, as you can see from here, you're gonna have to, in order to take out the cat sensor, you're gonna have to loop it around this organizer. Alright, and now that I figured out how to take it out, you're gonna want to take out the black part, the black circle right here, and all you have to do is stick your finger under, gently take it out. And it's a bit sticky, so you're gonna see on the bottom, that's where it sticks. So just loop it around, and just loop the other part around, I mean. I don't think you guys can see it, it's a bit dark. Alright, that's what it looks like when you take it out. And just for reference, where's the other part? This is the new part. This is the replacement part. Now, when we ordered it, it actually delivered really fast. It was around 3 days. It costed around $10. So if you're trying to replace the part, you probably don't have to jump it while you're trying to fix it. All you have to do is take a temporary litter box and use that instead of using the litter bot. Now, what you're gonna want to do is, first off, you should probably want to make sure that the thing is working, right? So you're going to take a multimeter, going to test it to make sure it's working. And in order to test the cat sensor, we're going to use two inserts. We're going to put the needles right in them. Now, the cat sensor senses weight. That means it's a pressure sensor. So right here is where the pressure should come in. So we're going to press down on that. And as you can see, there's no change in the resistance or anything. Now, that means it's not working. What the cat sensor does is it closes the circuit. So when there's no pressure, the circuit is open. When there is pressure, the circuit closes. So we're going to try that with the new sensor. Okay. I'm going to be careful with it. So make sure this works again. Okay. Put both prongs in. Alright, so I'll just use both hands. So right now, you can see there's nothing happening, but when we put pressure on it, the resistance, the number changes. That means that this is working. So now that we know that our cat sensor is working, we're going to replace it. In order to install it, it's the same as removing it, but in reverse. Remember to make sure that just remember the sticky part. You're gonna have to take it off when you put that back in, but that can probably come later. So in order to do that, you're gonna want to take the cat sensor, and like I said, you want to loop it under the sort of protrusion. It's already in. Now what you want to do now is you're going to want to take your fingernail and just get under the sticky part and just take it out. Sorry. Actually, you know, I'll just take off the sensor right here, because either way it's going to work. So when you put it back in and you have the sticky part out, just avoid the sticky part so that it sticks as long as it can. So when you put it back in, it should just slide in place. But you might have to do a bit of finagling. When you put it back in, make sure that it's in the right place. You can see that it's in the circle. Now just press it down on it where it should be. Might have to adjust it a bit. Sorry, I can't see it as well as you guys can. As you can see, it's in its place. Now, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna reconnect it, and after that, we can actually test it to see if it works. So, let me get on this side so I can connect it. Yeah, okay. We don't have to put everything back together just yet. We just have to make sure that it works before we put everything back together. So in order to put it back together, we just take both sides and put them together. You might have to figure out the orientation a bit. But there we go. Now, we're not going to put everything back together just yet. We're going to test it to make sure that it's working. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to put the top back on to make sure that the circuit closes. Back first. Alright. Now we're going to take the plug, put it back in, and see if it works. Now, as you can tell, it's not jumped right now, so that means the cat sensor is doing all the work. When I press down on it, I'm pretty sure it should work. So, you can see right now, it stopped, but when I put pressure on, keep your finger pressed down on it and press it on. Turn the power button on. And as you can see, it's working. Now, if I take my hand off, it stops working. Right, so the way this works is that when you put everything back in, including this metal plate and this plastic part, you're gonna put it back on the, assuming that this is in, you're gonna put it back on the CAD sensor, and this metal plate with this plastic part right here is going to push down on it. After you put everything back in, including the globe in the top, it's gonna create like some pressure, and when you put everything back in, you're gonna have to press the reset button, and what that does is it creates a baseline, a 0 point. So it can compare all further weight after it. Now, after 2 minutes of having something overweight inside of it, so if there's too much weight inside the basket, there's too much waste, or perhaps your cat fell asleep inside the litter robot, then it's gonna detect that. And what the circuit board does is it detects a change in resistance, and if it detects that for more than 2 minutes, it's gonna open the circuit and it's gonna stop working. Right, so explanation aside, I'm going to show you how to put it back in. Installation is the same as removal, just in reverse. Now, I might not have the strength to show it, so I'm just going to explain it right now. So what you're going to want to do is you want to make sure it's upright. You're going to want to take your black piece, the bolt, you're going to want to put it in. Now, what you want to do is you want to take a tool like this, something long that will keep it in, and make sure that the spring is back in. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to insert the spring, and I probably won't be able to show it, but you're going to want to push down as far as you can. And put the metal plate back on in the right orientation. And when you have the screw protruding, you want to put the nut back on. Now, I'm not strong enough to do this, but I'm sure those of you at home are strong enough. But I'm gonna attempt to do it. Yeah, so I'm not strong enough. I might need 2 people to do this so that one can hold it while I insert it, but if you're strong enough, you can probably do this alone. Alright, so the easiest way to do this is that after you pushed it down all the way and put in the bolt back on, is you're going to want to take something that, whatever you use to lock this bolt, you're going to want to take it, put it on. What you're going to want to use now is a manual tool instead of a machine tool, because you might over tighten the bolt, and you definitely do not want to do that when it's a pressure sensor. If you are using a machine, I definitely suggest using the lowest variable setting. Wait, is this the right? Yeah, and then you want to tighten it. Just make sure you don't tighten it too much, like I said, and make sure you keep it locked while you're turning it, because if you don't lock it, then the bolt on this side is going to turn as well. I think this one is turning as well. Okay? When you tighten it, it should not turn. Alright, so let's just demonstrate that it works right now. So I'm going to plug it in. Alright, so as you can see, it's working. Now let's see if the pressure sensor is actually working. So what we're going to do is apply pressure. As you can see, it stopped. Therefore, the pressure sensor is working. Now what happens is that when this is on a flat surface, if there's too much weight, it's gonna push down on the whole entire contraption. Now when the contraption goes down on the bottom, this wheel, this black wheel, will go up, and in that wheel is the spring. Now the spring will then push on the metal plate, which will relieve pressure from the sensor. After it relieves pressure from the sensor, it will start to move again. Shoot, I messed that up. After it relieves pressure, it will open the circuit and it will stop moving. Alright, so now I'm going to put everything back together. We hope it works. This is actually our first time doing it, so we're not sure if it works entirely, but it should work. But according to my dad, he's not an expert, but he does have a lot of background in electrical engineering. And according to him, it should work. Right. Now, if it doesn't work, at least we'll be able to do more videos on this, just so we can show you what it looks like. And I'm sure that will be fun. And I've actually also done a few videos, you know, like if there's a yellow blinking light. If you have any other error codes, we're probably going to be doing a video on that as well. So I'll see you there. I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching. Let me actually test it. I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and look at other videos on EYeOnAiman, especially the Little Robot 3 videos. And where's Bella? Maybe she should go inside. And let me get Bella first. And oh, okay. I was gonna say Bella say bye, but I guess she already wanted to say bye. All right, signing out.